It's actually good. The Fire to Chaos is... It's good if you can somehow like get some wither somewhere that's not Withering Step. And I couldn't figure out a way to do that. Because if you don't have any wither, then just the fire exposure from the ENG gloves is better than the Fire to Chaos conversion. I don't know. Even if you give him Unholy Might and Kill or something from the Mastery, he will still only average, I think, 4 Wither stacks single target if he's constantly attacking. And that's not enough to beat Fire. It may be already better, but it takes more passive points. Would have to path to at least to here, or drop one of the other Masteries to get the Unholy Might. And I don't think it's better. It's very close, but if you run Withering Step, or if you could run Withering Step with Enhance or whatever, then technically it can be more damage. Or if you find a way to apply 15 Wither stacks. But in my current setup, it's not possible. Sadly not. One thing I wanted to try out with the gloves was, since they added the new like exemplar support, right, where you have to do some crits so that your minion gets crit chance and crit multi. I actually wanted to build something with... I thought about doing something with that on the ENG as well, but I think you would have to do some, I don't know, some cyclone setup. And then maybe you have some wither on hit chance. Death's Oath. I guess. Does Death's Oath has wither chance as well? Actually, I don't even know. But it's very hard to beat Garb for DPS. It's just a fallburn, right? Yeah. I mean, not a bad idea, I guess. But Garb is very hard to beat with the 37 more on average. You would have to have some kind of chess piece that actually guarantees you the 15 stacks. And just with Withering Touch plus Unholy Might, he has like 8 APS and it's 50%. The wither duration is 2 seconds. It would still only be at 8 wither stacks, which I guess with the 40% more effect would be like 10 to 11 stacks technically on average. I still don't think that beats Garb plus exposure without any other withering applications. If you drop like the shield charge and the frostblink and then automate like withering step, then maybe on single target it's better, yeah. But the withering step is just really bad coverage for nose or whatever. But technically you could make some giga single target burst setup even if you just put withering step on 9 hands for single target, if you do only bossing or whatever. Other upside actually of the Fire to Chaos, which that's why I also really wanted to play it, was just mobs don't have a lot of chaos resistance. So many mobs have like some random melee resist, but chaos resist is pretty rare. And also the map mod is just I think 25 chaos res, right? Instead of 40 for LE res. Yeah, I think the glove mod is definitely the most, the way I guess you could get the biggest upgrade still on the build. I think other than that, it's pretty much maxed. Can't really think about much more. Actually, you could solve the Wither. I don't know if you've seen Chang's video for his, I think, Mamba character, where he did the General's Cry Cyclone thingy for Wither stacks. But that needs a 5 link, but it would be permanent Wither stack. So I think to do that, you would have to drop the Chaos and run an apostate setup, drop a bit of life, but instead then you gain the 15 Wither stacks. From I roughly PB'd it out once, and it was roughly equal to the fire version. Because you drop quite a bit of life from dropping the Chaos. Yeah. Blocks attacks. Yeah, goal for today is, I think, to beat Villa again. And I think he's currently eating. So currently, the ladder. Rank 5. Villa is 60 above me. I couldn't play yesterday, so he overtook me again. It's time to take back place number 4. Would be nice if we can get to 4.3k maybe today. I'd like to finish the 6k this week. Nope. Late league start. I actually like the one guy posted an, I don't know if you can still find it on Reddit, but one guy posted a minion packed Arc Ignite setup on Elementalist, and instead of using the Spectres that everyone is using, he's just using Stone Golems. And I don't think most of the golem stuff is very expensive this league. That looked quite fun with quite a lot of gear, and pretty much all of the base damage should be solved by the minion pact anyways. So maybe you can find that. I don't know if you posted a lower budget version for that. But for starting, for clear, just some early bossing, I think that should be completely fine and be nice to play. Other than that, you can still do my league starter, but it was a bit weak before getting to the CI version, so it was, I would say, like medium in the first day. After the CI swap, it was nice. The Pyroclast Mines break variant. But yeah, I would recommend to abuse something with minion pacts. Then do some random ignite stuff until you get, I don't know how much the gem is now. Probably under 1 divine, I would assume. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't know what his budget was, but I think it wasn't too expensive. And yeah, you can for sure scale it just down if you're just starting out. You don't need that much stuff anyways. And you can, I guess, run just any spell. You don't have to run Arc. But Arc, I think with the new Greater Chain, just does a lot of damage anyways. And has really good clear. I think the PoE command is broken, but I can close it for you. I don't know how this really works. Yeah, but this is... You need a bit more than League Start budget. This is my current PoE. But I think on like as League Start it's not cool, but I think Osprix or someone did something on Champion. And technically to run this setup you only need the X and the ref bit and the helmet for the AG. What you equip basically doesn't matter. So you could technically play this from like, I don't know, 10 divines maybe onwards, but this would just be a lot worse, of course. And I think the minion pack stuff is so OP, it's just a bit smoother of a start, I think. Probably. We go. Sorry. Yeah, kinda already looking forward to being done with the 6k, but I really wanna do it on this build. But I think afterwards gonna reroll to something else for mapping and finish the challenges. So maybe sometime next weekend will be some reroll planning. side. Maybe those. One equals one, please. Triple armor. Yeah, I guess we get some spectral chests, maybe. Those I think slowly went down. No spectre. What the hell? Scammed. Oh. Nice. Smiting. Hello, Mr. One. Sure. Can we see me in game? Only sad part about the Delph rework is that the Azerite is worth nothing. The resonators are so cheap. I'm not even picking the Azerite up anymore. Oh, ring. That's unethical. 6 sacred orbs to 1 mirror. That is unethical. I have actually 5 sacred, so I guess 1 more and then my mirror is 2. But even my 5 sacreds are very spooned. Okay, what? 152 diff, I'm at 87. 78. But nice, congrats. The first one ever, or? Yeah, Fab would be sad. He won 100 yesterday, I saw it on the highlights video. That's crazy. And I think he got shafted last league as well, right? Ah, okay, yeah, affliction is kinda cheating, yeah. I actually didn't get one in affliction because I didn't really do any mapping. think in Affliction I pretty much only did Sims. I know I pretty much never map actually in this game. It's the thing I do definitely the least. But yeah, Affliction definitely was crazy for mapping. Ah, okay. I actually didn't follow very much any of the PoE2 stuff. I've played like what 8k hours in PoE 1, and furthest I've got so far in PoE 2 is I think Act 3. But yeah, I'm kinda waiting for the full release to play with one of my buddies who didn't play a lot of PoE 1, just a little bit, but he wanted to try PoE 2 when it's full release when it's free. So it's just gonna do a very much start fresh from there. But I guess hopefully it's the best state of PoE 2 then, because from what I gathered at the start, like 0.1 was pretty much a shit show. Yeah, the temple. I just saw some highlights and some. I think there's the pilfering ring as well, right? In PoE 2. Just saw that was crazy expensive, and like what mirror is 5.5k dips or whatever. Just crazy. Yeah, compared to PoE 1, where like even in standard it's like 1.1k or something. And that has been live since I don't know how long. Yeah, for the mirrored ring, if you have the corrupted weapon, I would 100% go for the mirrored ring next. But on average crafting cost, I think right now it's roughly around 300 diffs or so. If you expect to hit like on the 10 free flag, can get a bit expensive. I actually recrafted mine a few days ago, so I hit on, I think actually on my 10 free flag. Hit this one with roughly 2.0 multi, which was very nice. And I sold I think I sold the old one for 200 diff. Wasn't too bad, because we recouped most of the cost. Yeah, this X is doomed. I actually bought the 15% one without enchant yesterday because it's so doomed. I corrupted nearly a full quad tab, so like, I don't know, what is that, 70 X's or something, and I hit nothing. The best one I actually ever hit was the first X I corrupted. When I started the build, I enchanted one and YOLO corrupted it, and I hit 14% on the corrupt with the enchant. But I did a whole quarter and I didn't hit even a 14%. So that's completely doomed. I bought the one for 15, I think. The 15% I bought for 80 yesterday. I guess that's okay. Any other RPGs? I played a lot of Diablo 3. So long time ago, I guess. Or even sometimes nowadays when the season launches, I play some D3. And I played D4 on launch, but haven't played D4 since launch. Normally on D4 we try out it, I don't know, maybe one weekend with the boys on like 4-man party at the start. And try to get like one rank 1 in sometime during the weekend, but yeah, then maybe a solo push, a small one. on the first weekend, but not too big into the full Paragon farming there. Other games I mostly play is League with my friends and RuneScape. So old school and the new RuneScape play a lot. That's maybe also why you see the cursor icon sometimes when my AFK check for RuneScape is going on. So that's what that is. I'm looking forward to trying PoE2 for real actually, but no build guys, raw. Just pick a skill that looks fun and try work my way around with my PoE1 knowledge, I guess. Hopefully they release it this year still. We'll see. When I also played Last Epoch. The season did the season actually already release? I think it was this week, right? But I played Last Epoch pretty much the last 2 seasons, I think, or last 3 seasons. I did the Uber Everoff as well on like Falcon Year. But, yeah. Just played a little bit, not too much. If probably you don't have a good enough either watcher's eye if you're degening too much, or if you're doing mostly mapping content, you're not gonna be on the consecrated ground of the bottled faith. So your region will be lower. If you're doing mapping, then it doesn't matter. If you're mapping and you're sitting at 1 HP, I would just not equip a Progenesis. If you don't equip the Progenesis, you cannot actually die if you're at 1 HP. So it doesn't matter. And the like, I don't know, 10 times you can use the Corrupting Fever will cap your AG anyways, and then every few seconds it will just refresh the stacks, and it doesn't matter if you are at 1 life. It just looks a bit, I don't know, weird, I guess, if you're not used to it. But technically it doesn't matter if you're at 1 HP. If you're uncomfortable with that, you can de-level your Corrupting Fever to like level 17 or something, and then just play with that, and it's also completely fine. The only thing that's gonna be different is how many souls or how fast your souls ramp on the AG. Yeah, for mapping I would just not run a Progenesis at all, and just run a normal Amethyst Flask with Rarity probably on it, or just more gold. I don't think there's any other good suffix on Flask. The AG probably dies from Corpse Explosion, I would assume, from the boss. That's Abomination issue. I would recommend to kill Maligaro first, because if he survives and another boss like he explodes another corpse from the boss, then he will probably just one-shot the AG, because it does so much damage, even with all of the damage reduction that you have. Yeah, that's why I also really don't like A-Bomb. I had the same issue with A-Bomb on Merc League actually, when I did the Merc carry. He sometimes just one-tapped my Merc, and you couldn't do anything against it because it depends on where the Merc ran. If you wanted to boss rush, I would just do cigarettes, to be honest. Secrets is more profit, you need to buy less maps, and it's more chill. Yeah. Sadly, Abomination is a bit meh. It's okay, Kivix. It's, I wouldn't say you can compare it to Breach. If I would fully try hard only profit, then with selling carries, I'm sure you could break 20 D per hour or something. But I wouldn't say it's very much more than 20 div. Only saving grace pretty much is hollow fossils at the moment, being like 2 div pretty consistently. Yeah, it's basically the same as last league, I would say, between 15 and 20, depending on how many carries you sell and I guess how much you focus on profit compared to just delving down. Some people were doing some darkness stuff in lower depths, but I've not looked into that basically at all. It's not really something I care much about. It's nice to hear. It's actually my first time also playing with Dissolution, so I'm very happy on how it turned out. That's actually viable for some more harder stuff, because everyone always talks Dissolution. Even Chang in his new video that he will never ever play Dissolution, but besides the cold dots in Delve, there has been, I think, no downside for me for playing Dissolution compared to just a normal build. And I guess the cold dots is very high level yapping, and you could just move out of it. If you want a PU, I can send you the PUB that commands are broken. I don't know how they work on YouTube. This is the PUB of my current character. I think the league is nice, so I think even besides this build I would find something else to play. Minion pack looks nice, but yeah, I guess pretty covered from everyone. Yeah, nice. I think you need the Glad for some of the, I don't know, I guess for like Valdos or something for Feared. I don't think I could do the Ghosted Feared without the Glad block. You would actually have to correctly play it and not just face tank everything. That's 40 HP. Yeah, this is, I would say it's decently expensive. Depends on what you call very, very expensive. My current setup, so the stuff in the POB is, I think, 6 to 7 mirrors at current prices. So yeah, crazy expensive. But you can definitely start us out with, I don't know, I would say roughly 1 mirror, and you can have a similar setup without some of the more min-maxy stuff in there. Yeah, the HE stuff not transferring is sucks. Because I wanted to try Chieftain as well to see how it would play without the block stuff. So just basically fully going in on HP. I think on Chieftain you could, without the block, push it to, I don't know, 40k at least. But yeah, the AG stuff not transferring, I think my AG is worth like a mirror on its own, so I don't really want to do that. Good to champ, I guess. It says without the block. Yeah. But in 90 res you need the 100% adorned, but I played a long time with an 87% adorned. So when I started out until I think 2k or something, played with an 87 adorned. And yeah, it did not really matter. I don't know. Since block is so broken at the moment, it just carries. Yeah, I guess you either play the minion or you sacrifice the minion this league. Yeah, slams got deleted, minion players got all the buffs. Oh yeah, the new gems are kind of crazy for minions. The Spectre support, like the whatever, it's called Conjugation or something, the 40% more. That's crazy on its own for like any build. Yeah, might as well become the minion. But I'm looking forward to playing a mapper without some minion stuff after this build. Convert percent on gloves. Convert percent doesn't actually matter, since you don't scale the base damage of the skill. The X scales only added flat fire, and the base skill does fist to lightning conversion, which is not affected by any of the flat fire you either add via the X or via flame link. So you don't need to convert anything, and he will still like do only fire damage. So no reason to convert his actual skill. You would only need to convert his skill if you're playing a different setup with like armor stacking with Replica Dream Feathers, where you're actually scaling the base damage and not just do added damage. Then you would have to convert, but not on this set. Yeah, that's basically the Merc Orbot. It's basically the same thing, just this time it's a melee guy instead of doing KB. But yeah, the AG, the AI, I think that's also was breaking a lot of people that play this on other stuff. That's why I'm also not running Feeding Frenzy. A lot of people are running Feeding Frenzy here on the imbue, and they're not running Meat Shield. And how the AG actually works is, you see this guy here, and you have like the Delve node around me. His aggro radius with, if you give him Feeding Frenzy and you don't have Meat Shield, is over the full screen. It's like 8 meters, so it's basically the full screen. And how he works is, after he kills something, he picks one random minion or random enemy in his aggro radius, and he targets this guy, and he just straight up runs to this guy, tries to attack him. And if he doesn't have any phasing, he will just get stuck in a big pack of mobs. And the defensive stuff helps with this. It limits his aggro radius, and so he will only mostly target stuff that's near him and not just try to run across the whole screen, which makes his AI a little bit better. If you want to fully fix it, you would need to run the Void Walkers, which give him phasing on kill permanently, and the phasing also pretty much fixes his AI. But yeah, for delving it's fine. If you're only doing mapping, maybe try out the phasing on kill boots. Yeah, and the Headhunter stacks also break him if he steals Shroudwalker. Or if he steals Trickster, then yeah, it's just doomed. Sometimes if he's fully bugged out, you have to just enter the Mirage and run back. Yeah, that's the only big downside during mapping. That's why also I'm not really planning on doing my challenges with this build, since I've already played it now for so long. I think I will reroll to something else after I'm done with the delving. So where are my notes here? I think think you can get some decent profit from delving on like 600 onwards. So 600 when you will start to see some of the more rarer fossil nodes more often. For the most profit for just fossil farming, for rare fossil farming, you would need to be at 1.5k. That's the maximum fossil rate. But even then, I think you can push it to like 20 diff an hour, but not really much above that. Yeah, if I choose Breach, I'd definitely use the Void Walkers. I just did a few Giga-Juiced ones to test, and it was noticeable. Basically, you only did damage after you got convocated, which was a bit annoying. If you're planning to do some harder stuff, then yeah, swap to Glad. Other than that, if you're not, to be honest, if you're not dying on Chieftain or something, then there's not really a reason to swap to Glad. Because the only thing that Glad brings you is the block for recovery, for resetting the dissolution. And if you think that's fine with the current setup, then don't really see too much of a reason to swap. That's the only thing that happens to me now, is when I just brain out cut dash away at the start and then he gets stuck behind and just dies to him. Yeah, nice. Yeah, actually, I love doing some of the Valdos. I haven't really done too much of the semi-giga ones, I would say. But it was very fun. I did a lot of the Forbidden Jewels, the one map I showcased. I had quite a few of those. But it's just a big gamba. It's all good. You can DM me, I don't mind. A lot of people whisper me stuff in game. Ah, Guardian. Guardian is interesting. I guess for the aura stacking it makes sense since you need to get the RMR. I guess you could still do. I guess you still block cap then on Guardian, right? With the block node. So it should still be okay. Yeah. Big bro is also like. Does he even? Nah, it doesn't work, right? The big guy, since the 20%. Maybe it works actually. I'm not sure. Yeah. Sadly, the AG does not skip the 10% less damage per item. You still need to unequip the amulet for those maps. That's a bit unfortunate. I actually tried a double. I tried a double tank mod possessed feared thingy today. Yesterday, like the 100% deli, 10% less, quad possessed, feared. It went medium well. It was like I think it was waterways, and the layout is just too bad. They were in a like small corridor, and since you need so much time to actually kill them, then with all of the DR zero stations, just then once I wasn't 100% aware, it just killed the AG because it didn't recover. And then yeah, the map is bricked if he dies. But I killed half of the field, so I think it's doable on an open layout to do the triple tank ones. But it takes quite a long time. Took me, I don't know, 15 minutes at least. But I guess that's the case with pretty much every one that does these kind of maps instead of maybe armor stacker is a bit faster. The Guardian is way worse, yeah. I guess, yeah. For life stacking, it doesn't bring too much, that's true. I guess the other sentences are also pretty useless. Eh. Yeah, I think from ranking it best to worst for sentences, I would say it's Glad best for tankiness, then Chieftain for Chieftain and Necro, same for damage, and then Champ for consistent tankiness probably with Fortify, as being probably the lowest damage and lowest survivability in general with no block, but you get Fortify, which is just good consistent ER. Oh, this boss, I guess. One map, please. The map prices are crazy this league. It's already over 10 div. That's way more than last time and even the one before. Normally they sit at like 2 to 3 div for first month or whatever. What are you guys farming right now? Anything good going on the mapping side? Since I'm just stuck down here. Yeah, the day 1 to 4. I guess I got decent at it with what I'm normally doing, but my day 1 to 4 is definitely not optimized for big profit if I compare it to some of the better stuff. Ah, nice leveling in Breach. Yeah, did the same. 1.5 days of chill, like low investment Breach or something for 100. That's nice. If you aren't doing it yet, try putting on the Annihilation support. So just switch this one in for something else and he starts exploding like 2 full screens. Since the explodes actually scale with the board gems, since it's a pseudo minion explode, its scaling is a bit weird. It does a lot more damage than normal explode stuff. Yeah, the annihilation is really nice. Sadly, explodes don't work in Delph. Or like the explode scaling doesn't work in Delph with the Delph scaling, so can't use it in Delph. For inverter rules, that's the wrong map. For inverter rules, I'm not too sure about it yet. I don't know. It really depends on what you're fighting. Since for like normal monsters, it doesn't do anything. So it's basically useless against like blue mobs or white mobs, and even some rare mobs if they don't have resist mods. It doesn't do anything. For pinnacles, it's good. So if you're doing like mostly bossing or so, I think it's better than Firepan, but you would have to check POV for that. But from what I saw, it's a few percent better than Firepan. And I don't know, maybe I need to try it out a bit more, but I'm just thinking about it. I didn't really want to play with it, but yeah, I'm not too sure about it actually. So if you find it's really nice, maybe I will try it out for a few hours once. But yeah, if you encounter like a fire resist mob, then the inverter rules will be very nice. So maybe it's just worth playing for those situations, because I guess those are the ones that hurt you the most in terms of kill speed. At least me right now. And for the spell block cap, yeah, it would be nice if you could do it, but I think you need to run at least Tempest Shield then. Without Tempest Shield, I think it's not really doable. You would have to run at least the second spell block wheel, and then probably instead of damage clusters, run spell block clusters. You could actually do some fun stuff with spell block, since renewal is kind of inconsistent anyways, since it's not always on full life if you're doing harder stuff. You could make clusters with basically this cluster, and instead of renewal you fracture the spell damage spell block, and I guess you could run the 8% one even. So you have 24% then from clusters if you drop renewal and run spell block. Maybe that way you could cap the spell block without versatile. But it would bring you from, I think, 91 block what I'm right now to, I think, 95. Yeah, I think without clusters it's not doable, especially if you're not running Tempest Shield. Because you get what? You're like 3, 4, 4, 3 at 10 here. You would basically spec those 2 full wheels and fix the rest with clusters. And then maybe you could run spell block on the adorned jewels. I think there is a 3% adorned mod as well. Could technically get 6% per jewel from there, but then you drop a lot of life, which is a lot of damage. Yeah. If you think you need the tankiness, then it's definitely an option for more consistent resets. But so far, for me right now, I don't know, I've not really been, I don't know, dying from hits. I've only mostly died from the cold dot here in Delph. Hits itself. I've not done too much yet. Actually, really sad that I didn't get to use the Delhi currency for this build with the clusters. I think it's such a good new item. The cluster changing has opened up so much nice stuff. Those triple explode clusters that the KB's guys are running, like Sushi is running, I think, they just looked insane. Yeah, dying is actually pretty hard. So I was surprised as well, even with the dissolution. It's not easy to die. Only here with this, I don't know, the cold dots at these depths fucking hurt. I was even considering swapping to the reduced dot Pantheon, since the hit one isn't doing much for me anyways. Yeah, maybe I'll do that still if it gets too annoying. The only thing I'm kind of sad that it didn't work is the infamous glove mod converting all fire to chaos. I'm still cracking my head about this one, about how to actually fit this or make it work with the Wither stacks, but no good solution for it yet. That is Olympus. That's unfortunate. Yes, let's go right side. Maybe get some holofosses. Yeah. Despair on hit. These are crazy. Sadly, Despair on hit would not work on in Delph. But this is sick. Nice one. How are you applying Wither yourself? Are you just doing Withering step, or you have like a Cyclone setup or whatever? Okay, yeah. Oh, those are nice. Those are nice. this bear on it is so nice to get actually for normal mapping stuff. Sadly in Delve, with the curse effect reduction, you can't use normal curses. You have to use a mark. I actually love if they remove that limitation. It's just so dumb. Same with ailment scaling. That ailments don't work in Delve is also so bad. Just really limits the, I guess, the types of things you can do for deep delving. If you can fix your resists, then I would still do melding even without the 100% adorned. So if you just drop the adorned on my setup from to nothing, I get 82, but even if you use an 86 one, you get to 86 max res, or 89 if you run a max res jewel instead of the all res jewel here. But you do need resistances on your second ring then. So if you can make your resists work with melding, I would still run melding even with a lower adorn. And for the chaos, I would just buy one that's like 1.2k, to be honest. And if you have 2 mirrors or so to spend, then you can maybe try to go for an enchanted one with that you then chance to the chaos and then lock the Sval. Because just making this base is like the base to try to lock Valid is over like 500 diffs on average, since the enchant is like 1 in 300 or something. Yeah, tailoring up to the spam. To be honest, I still can't believe how lucky I got with this chest. It just is actually insane. This was, I think, the luckiest I've gotten ever in PoE. It took me, I think, 15 tailoring orbs to hit 15%. Then I think 8 of the chant omens enchanted, and then I think 5 locks to hit complete max roll on the lock, which is just insane. Normally the average to hit max roll on this one is I think 1 in 90 locks or something. So yeah, don't think I'm ever beating that. Yeah. Not even sure yet if I wanna sell it when I reroll. Gonna maybe list it for, I don't know what, 15 mirrors. See if someone buys it. But if not, then probably just gonna keep it as a trophy, I think. It went down a bit. This is still self. Yeah, for sure. That is one hell of a trophy. And maybe I actually need to... Isn't there this hideout thingy where you can place an item in there for showcase? I think I gotta buy this one and put it in there. As long as you can get it back, I guess, somehow. Out of that. That would be a nice use of that. Yeah, definitely gotta get that when I'm no longer using it. I still need to fix my hideout anyways. I just remade my hideout for this sleep because I bought the map device where you see the duration of the map. I was just interested in some of the mapping speeds, and it didn't fit in my old hideout because the only two that exist are like insanely huge. So I had to actually move hideout. I guess gotta redecorate after the leak or like before the next one. I don't know if Epsi is making some... Nice, one listed. 1.38. I think Epsi is profit crafting these. So maybe you can buy one if you don't want to gamble. I think they're listed for like 2 mirrors at the moment. Close to what mine is. Yes, the Chaos Bloodline is basically only for making the solution less shit to play. So you can play, I would say you either want the Chaos Bloodline or you want to be Gladiator. And if you're doing extremely hard content, you want to have both. That's what personally I would do if I was thinking about playing this. And if you don't want to worry about dissolution too much, I would play either Glad or the Chaos Bloodline. But just playing Chaos on like Chieftain is completely fine as well. Or playing Glad, maybe with the 3 rings, and if you go Massive Belt, also an option. You might just be a bit slow then. Or with Mage Blood. No problem. I guess I don't really know what to do with the money anyways, so. Maybe we'll do an X gamble later for the favored 15% X with enchant. I've been doing basically one gamble per day now and still didn't hit anything. One time you don't look at the screen, you die. And you go to the wrong node. Yeah, still have to sometimes look at the screen, sadly. But it's definitely been the most chill Delph character that I've ever had. And do basically half of the nodes without even having the hands on the keyboard or on the mouse. And I've watched, I think, 2 full seasons of Reacher so far. I should be doable for like 200. I would not do the corrupted items on 200 diff. Just do it without the Chaos Bloodline. Then you should be fine. Depends on your damage, I guess. I think for survivability, we should be okay for 1k. I'm not sure how much damage you will have on 200 diffs, but I think it should roughly be 1k viable. Not too much above that, I would assume. But I didn't really check out any. I don't know what kind of damage you get on 200 diffs now with the prices. But I don't think any of the stuff is actually too expensive. It's like Amulet bricks are 10 diff. I guess the most expensive part would be how good of a weapon you can get. But if you can get a format weapon, which you should be able to on like 80 diff or something, then you're fine. Yeah, just use a 87% adorned and you will be completely fine. You don't need the 100% for 1k. But I could do... I can take this fully out. And let's do a few nodes without an adorned in at all, so... Even here, it doesn't matter, it's just, I don't know, maybe 10% damage. Double my max hits, but... Yeah, crafting one without Ruthless is probably the easiest way. You just do Pure Shaper. Just do Pure Shaper. Format Recomp. And that's probably below... I don't know what that cost you, but I would assume like 30 diff maybe. Just go format, no Shaper. The setup you're seeing right now is roughly 6 to 7 mirrors. You can start it for, I don't know what other people said here, 120 if someone started. So I think you can scale it down quite a bit. I just have basically all of the min-maxy stuff, which you don't need for 90% of content, 99% of content, let's say like this. This classification thing could die. I hate these. But as you can see here, I don't even have a door equipped. And do you notice much of a difference? Probably not. So it needs some extras. Yeah, exactly. You don't bother with the corrupts. Yes, that is very, very annoying. I crafted this ring 3 times and it's a pain in the ass to craft. So many recoils spamming. So yeah. Yeah, the boots is definitely the most expensive thing you will have to craft if you want to have comfortable gameplay. Yeah, for the if you actually want to go for the corrupted stuff, you will have to craft yourself stuff that just doesn't exist basically on the market. Especially the boots probably don't exist, so you will have to do this yourself. But it's, to be honest, it's not that complicated of items. And I think in the build overview I described how I crafted all of them. So if you're at least somewhat familiar with crafting, you should be able to do it just from those instructions. And if not, just feel free to ask me. Just message me in game and I can try to help you. Yeah, it's just missing max stresses. Ooh, deleting a +2 is tough. At least it didn't delete the bleed avoid, I guess. The bleed avoid is actually the more important thing. So make sure you have that on 100%. Yeah. Or if your boots are non-corrupted mirrors, yeah, then just conflict them yourself. Crystal spires. All divines. Yeah, then you're gonna have to get the woods. The armor doesn't matter. You can use any boot, so doesn't matter what you use. I just, for example, my gloves. I guess if you craft it yourself, then you can buy the best armor boots. But for the gloves, for example, I bought the suffixes done with the fracture, and I just bought any base that had them. Since I think the gloves were 15 diff for the base, and technically crafting them would have been more expensive. I just bought them and it's habit based, doesn't really too much matter. So since we have 5k armor, it's not gonna do anything anyways, so. As long as you, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't go full ES base, but if it has some armor on it, yeah. But if you can get a deal on a random base, then just take the deal, to be honest. My boots are actually, I used logs to corrupt them. Since with the implicits, at the time I corrupted them, logs were 45 diff. So logs were actually cheaper to use than to recraft the whole boots. So, yeah. I don't know how the prices are now. I guess logs went up quite a bit to 70 or something. Just 2. And another thing. That's where the basically all of my money is coming from. No problem, no problem. Have a nice day. Nice. I guess magic jewels you can buy most of them. I wouldn't all spam them myself. If it's not too expensive, I would just buy them. All spamming for fire res is a pain, and I think the fractured base is, I would assume, nearly the price of the corrupted final ones anyways. Not really worth the trouble. Close. You gotta have to make yourself, yeah. Okay, yeah, nice, nice. I think I bought the normal ones to start with, just life and max fire for I think 8 diff. And yeah, the ones with good corruption were a lot more expensive. This corrupted blood one was 40. And the, I think, Hindu and Maim ones were 20. Yeah, a bit more expensive for some good corruptions, but good upgrade later down the line. Yeah, definitely not needed to start. Even without the CB immune, I died. I think I died once or twice from CB to leveling to I think 99, and then I bought the jewel when I died the second time. I could have already afforded and need it anyways. But with all of the block, maybe it doesn't really do too much. Oh, should look at the screen. That's the dot. What's this Nodium? Ah, yeah. But to be honest with the rings, I guess the attributes are a bit annoying. Yeah. Whereas you could look into, I think I saw on Ninja a few people were running the Supreme Ostentation. You can ignore all of the stat requirements. Maybe that's something to look into for a lower budget version. Oh, there's an ore. Then you don't need pretty much anything on rings beside life and res, and then you can just buy random ones for 20C of trade and then just wall them. Maybe you could look into that since you're not using a timeless jewel anyways. Is it worth pathing there? Yeah, I guess. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, then the rings should be easy anyways, if you have that. First all of the day. Will we get a helmet? Hopefully. I've actually stopped doing carries for these. It has gotten too annoying. People are just dying too often. And I don't really care too much about the currency right now anymore. But selling carries was incredibly good when I started. I had a few ones where I carried like 5 people at once. And if you drop a helm you make 25 diff like in one all kill. Which was just crazy. The ladder looking. Okay, 27 depths behind pillar. Closing in. see. Mr. Old. So tank mods should die very fast. Yep. You tank it? Yeah, blocked it. I would say roughly you can keep delving, you can push to 20 div per hour, I think. Roughly. If you are selling carries. Without selling carries, probably around 15. So if you can get like 2 carries an hour, I would say. Get 2 people in per all, get 1 all per hour. Get 60 from that. And other than that, most of the profit will be from hollow fossils for 2 div each, and then fractured and faceted fossils, which are like half a div each, roughly. Sadly, the resonators are pretty much worth nothing. So, yeah, the currency in Deep Delve is... It has never been competitive with mapping, and I don't think it ever will be, even with the changes now. I can show you my Delve tab. I've not sold any normal fossil, right? I've not sold a single one. And this is how my Delve tab looks at the moment. So all of these is what I've gathered so far until 3.8k. These are, I would say, there's less fossils than you would get in 5 hours of simulacrum farming in last patch. So you would actually have to do like walls and whatever, and that's just way too slow for me to ever get to a good depth. Amulet, anger, it's going on the ground. I don't think I've had a single good amulet this league. Maybe I think 1 pure div elements for like 3 div or something. But other than that, not a single good one. No envy. If envy is even worth anything anymore. Actually, hardest nodes? Essence nodes. Life region. It's time to put dynamite. Yeah, you see how they all went down before this node in like 2 seconds, and these guys don't die. Yeah. Unique moves are definitely not the issue at this depth anymore. Technically, I can update my wealthy Excel. Let's see. GGG stash servers are down. Okay, I guess I'm not updating my wealthy Excel. Next crystal spire. The Senate lines. Each crystal spire is 1x basically. Corruption trap. I think I might just be addicted to the Valops. Timeless. Oh, -1 diff. Rip. That's the punishment for going fast. 7. Does it continue? Hopefully. Ah, yes. Reposo.
Your interference ends here!
Charlotte is the barrier. This one here. Nope, it did indeed not continue there. Only thing I really miss is weapon swapping to phase run for traveling. Can't do that since the guy would despawn. Yes, he does take damage, but he has a lot of damage reduction. He gets 75% less damage from the helmet. Linked minions take 75% less. And he has 90% less damage taken from the Soul Eater stacks. So if you're asking for the cluster, yes, it won't be 100% up. But as you can see when he's fighting during a node, if you look at his health bar on the top left, he's basically always at full. So for the degens or whatever, and if he gets attacked, he will go down a little bit, but functionally he will always be at full HP. That's where the cluster also works. See, it's a little bit spiking, but that's mostly also in deep delve. For anything mapping or even in Baldo maps, he normally won't take any damage. It's basically just turned on to make sure that the cluster notable works for POB. Yeah, mostly for that. And the only reason I actually took that node is because there is no second other good node, and the crit notable is so good. The absolute cheapest, technically, the only thing you need is the X on the Animate Guardian, the shield on the Animate Guardian, and the helmet. So as long as you have these three things, you can technically play this build. For budget, but this version on Gladiator, to be actually comfortable for decently clearing and getting a decent setup with a decent weapon, I would say roughly 100 diff, in which probably half of that is in the cost for the weapon. The other stuff is roughly, I would say, 50 diff. That's probably without an adorned, maybe without even a melding setup, but as long as you are glad with the block, even being at 75% max stress is completely fine. So I would say roughly 100 diff. Personally, when I started, my first setup was I think around 600 to 700 divines. I think I started, but that was already with some basically all of the corruption stuff in place, with an 87% Thorn, with most of the gear I have right now, and I just upgraded a few things now with some very min-maxed stuff. Yeah, it should be definitely lower playable on a lower budget. A lot of people already played it last league, I think, like semi-league start, when the X first got popular and when it was being figured out. But with especially with the new transfusion gem, the budget, what you need to actually play it, went down just by such a lot, since the gem is so broken for this build. You just get, I don't know, get 2 to 3x damage for free without doing anything. Nice, congrats. Time for some mapping. And yeah, Anton, Scuffed Weapon is definitely the absolute classic with the multi-link stuff. I spent a whole day recombing shit and ended up with a 4 mod. And then someone luckily posted this one for... I bought this one for 220 div. And yeah, had to buy that, since doing the 5 mod on your own is a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain, a lot of recomping. Especially since you then, from going to the 4 mod, Shaper only, to the 5 mod with Elder mods, it's a lot of increase to crafting costs with all of the Awakener orbs. Yeah. Maybe, I think maybe in a few days, or maybe next weekend, if I have the funds, maybe I'll go for a 6 mod on stream, so we can go to the Disparage, crafting them together maybe. Yeah, that's one upgrade I do still kind of want to do, since it's fun. Make a 6 mod weapon and then look corrupted with either multi-strike or fast attacks. Yeah. But that's, to be honest, that's the good thing. Even if you fail the weapon, just make sure you have the rest of the setup going, and upgrading the weapon incremental is every time you upgrade a link, you get 30% more damage, which just feels nice. You know you have a good goal to work towards. And even going just 2 mod at the start, just legit just only Awaken or Orbing 1 with 40% more damage and Roofless, for example, it's already a good start. So, and you can definitely play with that and farm some T16 mods easily. So. Yeah, if you are on the corrupted version already, then I would, and you're planning to play it for a longer time, the build, then I would just sell the Mage Blood. If you aren't on the corrupted version, then I would just use the Mage Blood. I actually, before I did all of the corrupted stuff, when I started, basically when I did leveling, when I leveled to, I think I leveled to 99 with a Mage Blood setup, and without the Blood Barrier, just the block was completely fine for maps, and it was a bit faster since you get the move speed from the Quicksilver and Silver all of the time for mapping. If you're still comfortable on that, you can just run Mage Blood always on Glad. Just depends a bit on what, I guess, what kind of content you're doing, and if you need the tankiness. So what is that one? Ooh, Crystal Spires. That's not bad.
I can't do this just yet.
Let's do this. Okay, yeah. Then I would probably just sell the Mage Blood. I would assume Mage Blood will be going down now anyways. Normally it's going down a little bit. Okay, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. If you feel too slow, or if you're doing like mostly mapping, and if you feel too slow, maybe actually try without the corrupted stuff and just try with a Mage Blood on if you feel like you haven't got enough movement speed. Because that's basically the only, I would say it's the only big downside of the build, that you're not running any kind of either permanent speed with like acceleration plus massive, or running any Mage Blood for a speed flask. So you see me now, even now I'm sometimes manually pressing Quicksilver and Silver Flask to sustain the travel speed between nodes. If they aren't fully sustained between nodes, so yeah. No, Leo, they cannot join afterwards. They need to be with you when you start the node. If you're doing all carries at, I don't know, maybe 300 or so, I would let them run with you directly to the boss room and wait outside the boss room. If you're doing carries at lower than 300, I would let them wait at the node start. Just tell them to not move at all. And after you killed the boss, run back to them, clear the whole path so they can't die on the way. And then just let them follow you and run with them to the boss room. And just throw a bit flares on them if you see their HP bar going low. How is this guy not dying, man? So easy. It's a bit tricky if you get a lot lower. And so I did some carries at around 2k still. And if you leave a single mob alive on the way, a lot of people are just not tanky and they get instantly one-tapped by one white flicker spider. So it's a bit of a pain to clear the full path, especially if the path is long. And KP ATS for Paradoxica, I've not played with that setup, but I wouldn't think so, because you just have to look at the math basically. Since on the one hand you have Paradoxica, you say 100% double damage chance, and then your only base damage would be from the Flame Link if you're still running a life stacking setup. And Flame Link gives 5% of your max life as damage, which doubled with Paradoxica is 10%. And if you run the X, then you have the 12% from the X. Let's say you don't have a corrupted run, you have the 12% plus the 5% from the base Flame Link, which is already 17%, which is 70% more than a Paradoxica would have damage. So on a budget even, you shouldn't have a lot less HP than I have here. I mean, the Calms of course does a lot, but I think you can still get to like 17, 18k HP on pretty much a budget, which would just make the X a lot better than the Paradoxica. So I would never use Paradoxica. Doesn't really make sense on this kind of setup. If you are running Paradoxica, you need some other way of getting the base damage other than Flame Link. I don't know how you would do that then. Okay, yeah. Then it makes sense to just not probably sell the Mage Blood Phantom if you don't need it for speed. Crystal Spire. No boss in the city. Unlucky. Yes, I did. Yeah. Did the Hoek build in OG Frisia and also updated it for this Frisia. And I've actually played it. On Freesia 2 is on Mirage as well. Give me a second. Hey yo.